Lightfoot.
Cheers, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. So we were just doing a shout out to the Dads of Castle Rock group. Do you have a Facebook page?
Like personal Facebook page?
Like company?
Yeah, Misfit Dog Training. I mean, we're not like super active on it. I mean, we definitely have one. You could look it up. Misfits Dog Training.
How do you do @ signs? At Misfits?
Yeah, you should just be able to do @ I don't know if it'll tag. That's so weird.
MISFITS?
Yep. You'll see like a Misfits, and then you'll see me
Can
and
you
my
send me the link real quick, and I'll.
Sorry, I'm not used to sending my Facebook link.
It's okay. Somebody already thumbs upped it.
They better fucking thumbs up it. About to be the next biggest podcast.
Yeah.
No, the Dads of Castle Rock group is pretty fucking sick. I mean, it's like one of the most interactive groups I've been in.
Did you shoot it over?
I'm texting it to you right now. Do you want me to text it to you?
Yeah, just shoot it over, and I'll just
It just sent. Yeah, I mean, we have a Facebook page. We're not like crazy on social media. I mean, probably because we don't really like put the work into it. We're pretty busy, but definitely need to get up on that.
There we go. And it's MISFIT?
MISFITS. Misfits Dog Training.
Cool. Yeah, man, I just got it posted up there. I don't know if we're friends.
I'm pretty sure we are.
John.
As of recently, for some reason. Well, I don't mean to say it like that.
Well, are we, the question is, like, are we meta friends?
Meta friend, yeah. Are we Facebook friends?
Yeah.
Are we Facebook official?
So, I guess we'll start off with, like, a little background to yourself, man. I'll give you the spotlight for a minute as I finish up this shout out on the Dads of Castle Rock.
Yeah, brief summary of myself. Where do I start? Nothing crazy. I mean,
Yeah, did you know this was a therapy session?
yeah.
So tell
me. Let me tell you about my traumas. Well, I'm a business owner now. Totally didn't think I would be one. We've been in business for about 1.5 years full time, and I did commercial air conditioning and heating for like 5 years before that. So I was pretty heavily involved in the trades, skyrocketed through that field pretty quick. Kind of tore it up, and then I got really tired of it, and I got tired of working on fucking roofs. And before that, I had a sales job, and I really hated sales. I was very, very much so introverted before. But the funny thing was when I was a kid, I was totally like kind of how I am now. And then after, stuff happened when I was a kid. My dad went to a couple of tours in Iraq, stuff like that. Things changed, not bringing this down a gloomy hole, but I'm kind of like coming back into who I was. Not that I was much different. Like I've always been me, but, I did some sales, I'm 28. So I don't have like this long fucking history of like, I don't have all these crazy accomplishments. I mean, in my opinion, I have some good ones, but not like a full, like, wide range of like life stories. I'm still figuring shit out as I go. Which is kind of how I do things. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it and just figure out along the way. But yeah, I did sales before that for a little bit, and I tossed around other things. I tried to go through EMT school, tried to go through welding school, flunked out of those because I just didn't take it seriously until, my dad got onto me a couple times, and he's like, you need to figure your shit out. Like you have to. I'm like, all right. And then I started working full time. So yeah, I'm a business owner now. I have a 10-month-old daughter or 9-month-old. I got a bunch of fucking dogs. I do all dog stuff now, for better or for worse. I love dogs though, but they also piss me off. I try to be very honest about me and my life and company and all that. So that's like a brief summary of like me. There's more that goes into it, but that's it in a nutshell for right now.
So you've been doing this business for how long now?
1.5 years full time.
Okay.
I quit my full-time job 1.5 years ago.
So what got you started? Was it because I know you said you always loved dogs?
Yeah.
Offline.
Yeah.
And I guess what got you started? What was the pinnacle point where you quit your job? Was that the sales job?
No, I quit my job doing air conditioning. so all like my commercial HVAC, like working on roofs. I was a service technician. So I'd be the guy, like, if you were either on like a hospital or a mall or like a huge building, like a big office building, like those big ones you see like all in the tech center and stuff like that. I'd be the guy that would go into those facilities, fix them, or I'd maintain them, stuff like that. But yeah, I quit that a year and a half ago after 5 years. And I just knew I wanted to become a dog trainer, and I fucking hated AC. Like, I did 5 years of like painstaking like roof work, like on a roof. And I'm like, fuck this. And I just quit. And,
so it was like a pinnacle moment where you're just sweating your ass off on top of a building, and you're like, what? Tomorrow I'm not coming in.
Well, when I moved, so I was in Florida. I moved to Colorado 2.5 years ago. So I came from Florida doing air conditioning, and I got out here. My first winter morning on a roof was the pinnacle, if you will, the straw that broke the camel's back, when I was crawling up this fucking ladder and it was -5 degrees outside, and my hands were just, it felt like knives had gone through them. That might be an exaggeration, but it didn't feel good at all. And I knew that moment. I think that moment, and then when I went up there to work on this unit, I had a wrench and I busted my knuckles on it. Like, I was wrenching down on something and my knuckles flew into the sharp metal. And dude, my hand was like numb, but it was also like in pain at the same time. Yeah. And I was, at that moment, I knew, I was like, I got to figure something else out. How I got into dog training right away, like, I worked with a couple Malinois, like a personal protection trainer that trained Malinois in Florida for my dad's German Shepherd, because I had no idea what I was doing. I was a horrible dog trainer at first. And it just kind of, I shadowed some people and it just kind of took off from there. And then I met my fiance. She was a really good dog trainer, like established. And then she taught me everything.
So did you meet her in Florida or out here?
I met her here.
Okay.
So everything dog training happened in Colorado within the past 2.5 years. I did some dog training in Florida, but it wasn't my thing. It was just like try to get my German Shepherd under control, and kind of failed. So yeah.
So
you out here.
So how did you, I guess, because you moved, I know you live down like towards the Larkspur area. You have a ranch-ish thing. You got some goats, you got some chickens, right?
We don't have the goats anymore, but we have like 40 chickens right now, and we have 2 horses. And we have, that's our livestock for the most part.
So, and then this HVAC experience happens, and then you just decide, okay, I'm going to start dog training. And your fiance, you met, so I'm timeline wise. Yeah.
So my first year when I first moved out here, I came out here with a job. So they flew me out for the interview. They paid for my move and all that stuff. So I was in Jacksonville, Florida 2.5 years ago. I was like, I'm fucking leaving. I lived in downtown Jacksonville, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with Jacksonville as a city. A lot of gang violence and shit like that. I also didn't have a lot of money. Like, I was making a lot of money, but my bills and my income were even, which isn't good. So I was like, I got to figure something else out. And I got out. There's a whole lot more that goes into it, but I got out of an engagement. I was dating this chick. I was drinking all the time, and it, like, not in a good way, like drinking a lot, for me anyways. And yeah, so after like 5 people got shot, I lived in a high rise. So I was on the 13th floor, of course. But yeah, like 5 people got shot. There's always homeless people out there. And like, you know, it never really bothered me. Like, homeless people don't bother me too much. But like every day I would get asked for money or for food or something like that. And I like to help people, but like every day crossing, it would happen. And then the violence happened. Like, people are getting shot. Shit was getting expensive. And I was like, I'm living in downtown Jacksonville. Why the fuck am I here? I don't like cities that much. I don't hate them, but like, you know, I was like, I'm not making money. So I'm like, like, let's say 4 years ago, I went to a wedding in Denver, and we went to the mountains. And I was like, I went to downtown Denver for the first time. I was like, wow, this is fucking sick. Because we went to all the breweries and stuff, and it was like a one or 2 night thing. So I didn't really know what Denver was like.
Yeah, you didn't experience Denver. You saw Denver.
Yeah, at night drinking. It was fun. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to move to Colorado. I was like, I just need to change. I need to get out of here. I need to get a change of scenery. So yeah, I found a job. They paid for all my stuff out here. I did HVAC for a year. I think it was a year. And along that, like, let's say towards the end of that year, I met my fiance, Zoe. And she is who taught me everything about dog training. She was a dog trainer. I said I was a dog trainer on Tinder. I was like, yeah, I'm a fucking dog trainer. But dude, I was not a good dog trainer at all. I was just like, you know what? This is better than saying I'm an HVAC technician because, you know, I made good money, but nobody really knows what an HVAC technician is. So I was like, and she was like, all right, let's see how good of a trainer you are. And I'm like, oh no, dude.
You're talking first date. She's like, hey,
sort of.
Here's this misfit dog. Fix it.
She had 2 of her dogs. I didn't bring my dog. Her dogs were really well trained, and she had been doing dog training for like 2 or 3 years. Okay. Like for a company.
Yeah.
But 6 months in is when we started our company.
Okay.
So it was a pretty fast transition. Like it happened, all this happened really quick, and it was very unplanned. I just had a couple doors open, and I'm like, I'm going to take that opportunity.
So when I met you, did you have the company established at that point or no?
Yes. Yeah. So when you met me, we were in the beginning stages of our company. So we started in December of 2022. And I think that was like, we met up let's say summertime, like 2023, something like that. When I had my goats run off the property.
Yeah.
And that's how we met, for better or for worse. At least I wasn't meeting you in some type of, arrest situation.
Yeah, we leave my agency out of this because I don't like editing it out. But
no, you're good.
Yeah, that goat was ornery, man. It was the one that was black with the white spot.
Yeah, there's 2.
Yeah,
and
they were assholes.
Yeah, we had just gotten them too. Like we had our original pack of goats, and then somebody had to rehome some, and they're like, yeah, they're totally fine. They've never ran off, and then they like ran off, and we were like, I don't even think we realized it until like. I saw the goats weren't there, and then I saw your car, and all that, and we were just wrangling goats back to my property.
Yeah, little did I know that you could lasso.
I can't lasso yet.
Well, and it was over by those. It was an electric fence too, so I remember I had to call the guy, and I was like, "Hey, can you turn your fence off because we got to get through to get these goats."
Yeah, did he turn it off?
Yeah, he did.
Damn,
thankfully, that would have been.
That's crazy that he can just turn it off like that.
Yeah, well, he's got the bison out there, right? So that's got to be
got a huge property.
Yeah. So walk me through the process of like, if somebody, are you like who's the Caesar Malone? Is that the dog whisperer?
Caesar Milan? Yeah.
Milan? Yeah.
Or Malone.
Are you kind of like that where you'll walk in and walk me through the process of like training a dog at different stages, puppies, and what kind of methods you guys use? Because the way I've experienced dog training is we had this e-collar, and we did e-collar training for our dog, which worked out great. Helps her out focus and with animals and stuff. But if you could walk us through the process.
E-collars are fucking sick. I love e-collars. I've given so many dogs freedom, like off-leash freedom and freedom from anxiety and reactivity with e-collars. So this is a very broad question. There's so many different types of dogs. Every dog's different. Puppies, the main things with puppies is teaching them to like basically poop and pee outside, to have manners. We have to teach puppies how to learn. So it's kind of hard for me to like explain it really quick, but like teaching leash pressure.
We have an hour to an hour and a half.
I don't know why I'm like in a rush.
Hurry up.
I was just talking about dog training before this. But yeah, like puppies, when you get like, let's say an 8-week-old puppy, you're like, okay, I have this puppy, this tiny little thing that knows nothing. It's your job to teach it things. It knows stuff on its own, but if you don't teach a dog how to interpret the world, it will figure out how to do that on its own, which can be good, could be bad. It depends on the dog and it depends on the job and stuff like that. Generally, it's bad. Like, let's say a feral dog. Mm-hmm. They learn everything on the fly. They, like a lot of rescue dogs that were feral, they have a lot of resource guarding, like guarding food and stuff like that. But you can still teach them after that. But puppies, you want to teach them leash pressure generally. Like what I like to do, I like to teach them how to be on a leash. I don't like to use heavy corrections on puppies or anything like that. I try to wait till they're like 6 months old. Not just heavy corrections, but like correcting them for things. Mm-hmm. I like to keep things fun with puppies. But like teaching them leash pressure, like, hey, get used to wearing this leash. Get used to pooping and peeing on this leash. That's a huge thing. It doesn't seem like it. But I've had dogs where they've never worn a leash to poop or pee, and they will not poop or pee on a leash. So if you have a backyard, it's great. But let's say your backyard goes away or you don't have one, or you just ignore it, the dog will just have accidents inside all the time. It doesn't know or understand what the leash is. And other things too, like socializing. Like a lot of people get socializing wrong, in my opinion. A lot of people will say like, have your dog meet every dog and have your dog meet every person. I think meeting people is pretty good. I like to add a couple roadblocks before they meet the person, like get them in a sit, get them used to interacting with people. But dogs, when you let dogs meet every single dog, it's a recipe for disaster, because that's how you start reactivity. They start being like, oh, there's a dog. That means I get to play with it. So a puppy, it's not a big deal, but when they're a year old and they're a big dog, or really any size dog, they expect something from that dog, or they expect to play with that puppy. And that communication is generally like barking, lunging, growling, stuff like that. Like not fun stuff on your walk. I'm sure you've seen it, like a dog fucking losing it, or maybe your dog at some point. Sounds like you got him pretty well trained from the get-go.
My dog is a sweetheart, and she stays in a constant heel. Good. Thankfully. But it was very hard because we got her when she was, I think, a year and a half. We got her pretty young.
Okay.
But the transition from she was meant for breeding.
Okay.
And then escaped. The rescue got her, spayed her at like 4 months old, 3 to 4 months old. Super. That's why she's small.
Yeah. Her head's a little small.
Yeah. And it's not proportionate to her body.
Yeah, that's a telltale sign of dogs neutered or spayed too early.
So then when we got her, she got back to the house that she was going to be bred in. They found out that she was spayed, and then just dropped her off on the side of the street one day, and then shelter picked her back up. And I saw her the first time she was in there, and I was like, oh, I want to get this dog.
Yeah.
But then they came and got her, and I was like, God damn it.
The people that were breeding her?
Yeah. Because they didn't think they spayed her.
In the shelter.
Yeah. So they didn't think that she was spayed.
Okay.
And then they picked her up, got her home. Then they like saw the scar and the tattoo.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because they do the surgery, and they do the 2 dots to basically indicate like, oh, the dog's been spayed.
Yeah.
And so then I saw her the first time she was at the rescue. I was going to go pick her up. Literally the day I was going to go pick her up, I get a phone call saying, hey, somebody came and picked up the dog. I was like, oh, man, that sucks. And I was like, who was it? And it was like, oh, it was the owners. I was like, oh, okay, fine. She's got to go home. 2 weeks later, she's back at the shelter. And I'm like, is this the same dog?
Yeah.
And it ended up being the same dog. And, working through some of the, she was kind of neurotic and like super high energy.
Yeah.
Too much. Mm-hmm. And like her prey drive was too high. It would have been great, like if she wanted to be like an attack dog, right? To have the constant drive to bite.
Yeah.
But like her, and not people, but just like animals and stuff. But there was a moment. I lived in North Carolina. We went to North Carolina Beach, and it's an off-leash beach. You're allowed to have your dog off-leash and stuff. I wasn't violating any laws or anything. But this little boy had a stick, and he's holding it above his head, and he's waving it around.
Okay.
And Taylor sees it, and she's like, I want that stick. So she was pretty good. Like, she was staying around us. She enjoys our company, but she sees that stick. She's like, I'm going to get that stick.
Yeah.
V-lines it straight towards this like, I don't know, maybe 6-year-old, 7-year-old boy. And the boy's like, starts running away holding the stick. And I'm like sprinting, and it's a sandy beach, right? You're not going to run fast.
Yeah.
Dogs run fine. And I'm screaming at the boy. I'm like, just throw the stick. She's not going to bite anybody. She's never even nipped correct anybody.
Yeah.
But it's, and then the mom was really understanding of the, I'm like, I'm sorry. She just wanted the stick. Because as soon as the boy like threw the stick on the ground, she grabbed the stick, came back to me. And it's like, look, I got the stick. But that was the final straw that I was like, we should probably, if we're going to have her off leash when we hike, when we go places, we need a recall system that's reliable and constant. Mm-hmm. And even when you came over today, I gave her some commands. Normally I don't do that unless she has the collar on. Yeah. Because I don't want to create the enigma that's, sometimes I don't have to listen and I don't get, tensed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's called being collar savvy, or e-collar savvy, as I like to call it. Malinois they're too smart, like they know. So like e-collars are a great tool, like especially for recall, for solid recall, like you're experiencing. It's super great. I use them for all my dogs, but yeah, like Malinois, man, they have super high drives, like prey drive, toy drive, ball drive, whatever you call it. That's why people want them. Well, not everybody, but that's why like police agencies or personal protection dogs, like my Malinois, he's a personal protection dog, quote unquote. He's a personal protection dog.
Tax write-off.
Yeah, right. Hypothetically speaking, he's a personal protection dog. I'll put it that way. But yeah, man, their drives are just fucking insane. Like it's just nuts. So like a dog like yours, you're like, whoa, he really wants that stick, and he like was excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
He's a boy, right?
It's a girl.
Girl. Sorry,
it's fine.
He's a girl. I like to make sure I get dogs' genders right because it just kind of bothers me. So yeah, you saw her drives coming through, and Malinois, you need to tap on that. Like you need to cap it. You don't have to cap it, but you want to make sure it doesn't get out of hand, because those dogs will just, if you let it build and build and build, it'll just get extreme, which is good for certain things.
So going back to the puppy stuff, you keep things playful, and then encountering other dogs. I had an experience. Have you ever been out of the country?
Yes, handful of times, not a whole lot, but yes.
So like my experience being over in Europe, you'll see people walking around with dogs, and the dogs are just kind of trotting next to their owner, not worried about anything else, just walking next to their owner. And I'm like, wow. They must really train these fucking dogs well around here. And like dogs walk past other dogs and they're like, oh, hey. And they just keep fucking walking. They don't stop and smell and all, like, it's not a playground for them. Yeah. They're just very focused on walking with their owner. And most of the time, at least in, where was I? The Czech Republic, they didn't even have leashes. They were just wandering around. And of course, my wife is like, oh, I miss our dog. I miss our dog so much. Can we, like, I want to, because we had Taylor at that time. And, she was like, I really want to ask to pet the dog. I'm like, Kaylee, just leave him alone. The dog is obviously fine. So I found it weird. And we talked to this one guy at a bar. I was like, is it normal for people to ask to pet other people's dogs? And he was like, no, that's like very American to like go up to people and ask to pet their dog. It's not a normal thing that we do in this country. Yeah. And I look over at Kaylee. I'm like, did you hear that? Not normal. But going to the constant socialization, you were mentioning, so they view it as like a playground.
Yeah, it's almost an expectation. It turns into one. So reactivity is generally a learned behavior. So reactivity, like I said, is like in America that you're seeing like these dogs fucking losing it to get to the other dog, or some there's a bunch of different varieties of reactivity. But yeah, what you're seeing there is like they're like, yeah, people don't really ask to pet our dogs. So like that's kind of what I try to instill on my puppies. Is like, hey, these people don't fucking matter, and especially those dogs. Generally, dogs have nothing to offer but bad things. Like, you know, there's a time and place for socializing with dogs. You need to let them know how to pick up on social cues and how to get corrected appropriately, not overboard. But, you know, you never know what that other dog's capable of, and people will just like let their dog pull, like a puppy pull to this dog, and that dog gets attacked. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we want our dogs to be, not me, but like a lot of people, like we want our dogs to be friends with everybody or be friends with every dog. So we let them meet all of them, versus Europe you're seeing, or these various other countries. They're like, no, people don't ask to meet my dog. So their dog is engaged with a handler, not engaged with these other people, because those other people are dogs. They don't give that dog food or shelter or water. When we teach dogs to meet every single dog, we're teaching them that those dogs have something to offer, and they really don't. Those people don't feed their dog. They don't, like, let's say this person's walking towards me. That person doesn't feed my dog. They don't train my dog. They don't give my dog shelter and all that. So yeah, it creates almost an expectation and a learned behavior of, oh, I get to go play with that dog. And if you don't let me, I'm going to figure out a way to get to it, sort of thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I've always heard this, and I think it's true. Do dogs view humans as other dogs?
That's a good question. I personally, I mean, I don't know the answer to it. I'll just be honest. I don't know for sure. I don't think dogs see humans as other dogs. I mean, in certain cases, I think they can, and I think they try to do certain things to humans that they do to other dogs. And it depends on the person too. If the person's like very, what's a good term for this? If the person lets a dog walk all over them, they'll treat that human like a dog. But if the person like just tells them no like one time, they'll start to learn what that human is. Now, I don't know for sure. I don't know exactly how dogs view us as humans. I believe they see us differently just because, I mean, we look different. We don't walk on all four legs. We talk differently. They don't know what we're saying. We have to figure out how to talk to them. So I don't know. It's a good question. I would like to know a better answer on it. But I personally, I don't think dogs see us as other dogs. But I do think dogs see us as other predators. That's why whenever you try to get a dog back to you, like say you're pissed off running at a dog trying to catch it, it's running away from you. Either it wants to play a game with you or it thinks that you're a predator running towards another predator. And just like humans, we don't want like a silverback gorilla fucking bum rushing us.
Yeah, I don't
like,
want a fucking gorilla running after
or
me, or
even a
fucking,
human.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a dog.
Yeah, could you imagine? That's actually kind of terrifying. Like if you're on a hike and you just see this dude just sprinting directly towards you.
Yeah,
I'd
just
be like,
staring at you.
Fuck.
Yeah, I'd be like, okay, dude, what's about to happen? Just like if you stare at a dog for too long, like big open eyes and stare at it, it takes it personally. Like it's like, why are you staring at me?
Oh,
like
yeah.
that?
Dude, Taylor will get her hackles all, even towards me, and she'll start like, like she doesn't like it. And I'm like, and I'll be like, all right, cut it out. And then she'll be like, I'm kind of teasing her. I probably shouldn't, but
that's okay to have fun with, as long as you don't like, do it all the time.
Or jump towards her and freak her out.
You know your dog, so you guys, what your relationship's like.
Yeah, and she's and I want to get into tolerance too. I recently went to the Collective. It's a coffee shop here in Castle Rock, and I was talking to one of the workers, and she was talking to me about not her dog, but another dog in her family. It's Belgian Malinois. It's a puppy, so it still has puppy teeth. Like I think it's 6 months old. Super sharp teeth.
Yeah.
Not just the breed, just like puppy teeth in general.
Yeah, they're all sharp.
They hurt.
They're like sharp teeth.
But anyway, so this dog was getting trained in personal protection and stuff like that. Hadn't really started its training, just kind of basic, I guess, like you ease into it.
Yeah.
Right. And but she was saying the family came out visiting from whatever state, and their kids, like 10 years old or stuff, they were playing with the dog, and the dog was obviously annoyed. She's like, even the owner recognized like the dog was getting frustrated, and when one of the kids was like pulling on its like or petting its neck and like scruffling it up and stuff like that, the dog turned and did like a nip correction.
Yeah.
Instead of I was trying to explain the nip versus a bite. But I think it's more apt if you explain it to the listener and stuff like that, what the difference is. But the scenario ended with it did lacerate the skin of the kid. Nothing tore away. It was literally just like puncture marks.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when we have dogs like that, it's our job to manage them. It doesn't matter what the kids do. Sure, the kid shouldn't be doing that, but it's a kid. It's, it's the owner's responsibility to manage that dog, and it's their fault that dog bit that kid. Now, sure, you could say that the kid was pushing its boundaries, and we do have to respect a dog's boundaries. Mm-hmm. In that situation, we would probably want to tell the kid, hey, like, don't do this to this dog. Really, any dog. A Malinois puppy, really don't want to do it to, because they are generally, they're going to start, like, correcting you for that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's on both sides, but, yeah, the difference between, like you were saying, like a nip versus a bite. Like a nip with puppy teeth can break skin pretty easily. So I wouldn't call it a bite, and it's a puppy, and it's just it's trying to create space. What I call a bite would be like, I mean, I usually say like breaking skin and causing some damage is like a pretty good bite, but like a puppy, it would, if it really wanted to keep biting, it would have bit and latched down, but being so young, it probably doesn't have those bite mechanics yet, and that type of bite like control and like clamping on it. So yeah, I mean, it's nothing that would raise too many alarms. I would probably let the dog know that I didn't like that, but I'd also let the child or the parent know that from the get-go, but after the fact, be like, hey, just make sure you don't do that to dogs, because dogs don't like their space being invaded too much. It's kind of like a weird balance that you have to find. Mm-hmm. It's not really the dog, not always the kid. Sure, the kid shouldn't have done it, but like both sides are at fault. And in my opinion, ultimately, it's always the handler at fault for that kind of stuff. Like, you need to manage your dog better. especially if you're training for personal protection, your puppy shouldn't have the opportunity to bite a kid, because if you let the puppy learn to bite children, it becomes a learned behavior, and it can get nasty quick.
So another thing,
if that answered your question.
Yeah, it does. The difference between the two, and ultimately, it's a sad situation because the parents of the kid are not the parents of the puppy.
Okay.
Right. Separate parents.
Yeah.
Same family, like cousins or whatever the relationship is. And the parents of the kid are calling for the puppy to be put down. They're like, nope, it's too aggressive. It needs to be put down. We want it killed. And I think I was like, I'm not even involved in any of this. I just told him, I was like, I think that's a little bit much. And so just going to tolerance, one thing, I don't know for good or for bad, when we had our dog before our kids, I have a 5-year-old and 2-year-old. Our dog is now 7 or 8.
Okay.
So we've had her for a while. And I made it a point before having the kids to be like, let me start annoying her to see what her limits of comfort is, right? Gauging it as, I'm not a handler, right? I view myself as more of an owner. Like, I get it. I am the handler of that dog.
Yeah.
She listens to me. But I was like, I want to know what her comfort, where's her red line? Mm-hmm. Like, when can I get her mad at me?
Her threshold.
Yeah. Like, okay, I've gone too far, right?
Yeah.
And most of it's like if I just stare at her or act weird, she's like, it throws her off. She's like, what the heck is going on? She'll start growling at me. She's always growled at people with like handicaps, like on canes or wheelchairs. She doesn't like that. Doesn't like it at all. We've worked on that.
Yeah, dude.
We've worked on it. It made for some funny experiences while driving in North Carolina, and people are panhandling on corners and stuff.
Yeah.
With walkers. Anyway, I wanted to know where her red line was, and surprisingly, she didn't really have one, like, at all. I was pulling on her scruff. I was messing with her teeth, pulling her cheeks apart.
Yeah.
Not hurting her ears, but like, I know the ears are sensitive, so I was like squeezing them,
Yeah.
picking them, flicking them, and the whole time she's just sitting there like, okay, this is really weird. But then when my oldest turned 2, and he started becoming very curious and started doing the same stuff, it was like, oh, okay, this is fine. This is what Dad does to me. Okay.
Yeah.
And every now and then she'll get up and move. And I know when she gets up and moves, she's done. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, I got to put her up in a room. That way she can have her own alone time and stop being accosted. So, is something you work on tolerance training? Like, is that something that is even really taught? I'm not even sure as far as canines go.
Yeah, it's definitely taught with puppies. I mean, it depends on what dog it is and who the owner or handler is. There's people, like, sometimes, like, when I have a puppy, I like to kind of do that. I like to get them used to it. So desensitizing them to that, like letting them know that we can do this in an ethical manner, where it's like, hey, I'm going to touch you like under your armpits or grab your ears. Nothing crazy, but desensitize a puppy to it. So, like, back to puppy training, you can implement that. Like, if you want to take them to a groomer, start taking them to a groomer so they get used to the groomer touching them. But yeah, there's certain things, and you can start, and different dogs have different limits. Like, it doesn't just mean if you start early enough, I think you could probably make some leeway, but some dogs don't have different thresholds, like my Malinois Clay. If you manhandle him too hard, he'll let you know. And he is super sweet with my daughter. I mean, like,
how old's your daughter?
9 months old.
Oh, okay.
And, like, she laughs at him like no tomorrow, and he loves her. So, like, I have to find that balance as well of, like, what is his threshold, and I know his threshold. And like you said earlier, that's, like, picture perfect is when the dog walks away, I know it's time that my dog needs space. That's when we need to advocate for their space and not let our child or anybody really not mess with them any further. Because sure, you could be like, well, I don't want my dog biting whatever, or at any point, but it's like, yeah, but if somebody is putting you against the wall and, like, pressing your buttons, what are you going to do? So you never want to push a dog past that point. But yeah, you can work on tolerance and stuff like that. Some dogs, genetics are at play. You know, a lot of it just varies on dogs. Some dogs could care, like a service dog. you're probably going to be able to handle a service dog however you want to an extent that's like ethical, you know, not like anything crazy, but like kids can mess with it, therapy dogs, stuff like that. But versus like a high drive Malinois that's bred for protection work or apprehension dog for like police units, you don't really want to play that game with them, and they'll let you know pretty quick. So it's good to kind of feel out their threshold. But kids are different because they're small, they're louder, and they move fast, and they resemble prey more, or sometimes they're just too erratic. And sometimes that can elicit a different reaction versus you. So like you never want to just be like, okay, I know my dog's good. You want to proof that. I mean, you don't really want to take many chances with dogs and kids, as you're seeing now. But you never want to assume that either. It's always good to give dogs space. And like, I have a lot of clients that are having babies, and I'm like, we're going to see how it is, but you can't push it. We need to see where your dog's at, like with tolerance and stuff like that. But you never want to assume just because that dog's fine with you, that'll be fine with the baby.
Right.
Or a toddler, or dogs have different reactions.
Because they don't view you, they don't view you guys the same. They don't view me the same as they view my son.
Yeah.
And yeah, that kind of makes sense.
I
do want to go. Yeah, I'm sure they still see us as human, right? I tend to believe that the dogs probably look us at like they know we're different. I think I agree with you. I would like to know, like, maybe one day with Neuralink they'll be able to talk to us. That'd be pretty dope.
That'd be cool. But then I'd be out of my job. We'd just be able to talk to dogs and be like, sit.
What's your motivation? I like food. Got it, dog.
I already knew that.
But I do. You know, one of the things that my Instagram and TikTok are like practically unhinged. I don't know how many times I see death or like mutilation. It's like I prep my brain before going on Instagram because it used to be funny and now it's just sadness. But I find myself so hooked to it. Unfortunately, I've been seeing, and it's stressing me out, I've been seeing like dog attacks against kids. Like, oh doorbell camera. And I'm like, how did this get through the filter? Two, this, like, dude, I'm telling you, like maybe 4 years old. Like, and it's a variety of dogs. Contrary to what people say, it's not just all pit bulls. It's not German shepherds.
Yeah.
Like, it's a variety. But like this 4-year-old gets like launched by this dog. Like, dog throws it up in the air, comes back and just like chomps down on its leg.
Wow.
And I'm watching and I'm like, oh my God. And the parent comes over and like grabs the dog, chokes the dog out. It was a wild video. It has since been taken down from Instagram because I was like, this is a little too much for me.
Yeah.
I can watch somebody get spun around in some factory equipment and get destroyed, but that's not a child. Like when it becomes a child, and I'm sure you know as a parent, there's like, I'm not interested in watching this. I don't think this should be on the internet.
Oh, dude, yeah.
But
I agree.
It's interesting. Just a quick tangent. Going to the e-collar. I love e-collars. I love them to death. It gives the dog the freedom to travel. I wish law enforcement, park rangers would understand. Understand that e-collars are a form of collar.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, I know some of the requirements I think are like
a form of leash.
Yeah, it's a form of leash. And but one thing that drives me nuts is when dogs are off leash, don't have any recall, don't have an e-collar, and I'm just like, I don't want to, like, my dog's cool. My dog will get along with most dogs. Unless they growl or try to fight, she'll end it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
She just goes straight for the neck.
Okay.
And she doesn't chomp and twist.
Yeah.
She just bites and holds, but she pins them to the ground most of the time. If the dog's smaller, she's going to win. So I just tell people, I'm like, hey, can you get your dog back? Like, one, I've got my kids here. I don't know your dog. I will kill your dog.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat to save my children. I'll kill my own dog to save my own children. There's a priority of life scale here that I feel like some dog owners don't understand. Your dog means nothing to me. I love animals. I love dogs.
Yeah.
But don't put me in a situation like that. And it just drives me up a wall because, like, Castlewood Canyon's a good example of that.
Oh yeah,
where it's like, yeah, people all the time just let their dogs loose with no recall, and again, it just drives me up a wall.
I see that a lot. And I see it when I'm working reactive or aggressive dogs or dogs that will fight a dog. Yeah, man. I mean, I think some people, I don't want to say that everybody has a bad intention or they're being assholes about it. I think there are some superiority complexes potentially and some other things or carefree, or they're like, yeah, my dog's friendly. And sure, your dog might be friendly, but the other dog isn't. And then your dog gets fucked up. Yeah.
And then the shitty part is whoever the dog finishing the fight. So say like my dog probably would never, if it was a Chihuahua, she would kill it. She's killed a bunny. But my dog, even though your dog was off leash and came up to my dog's at fault for killing your dog, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. Because I'm like, it was your fault you let your dog off leash without proper handling. Mm-hmm. And I told you to take your dog back and you didn't. And dude, I see it time and time again. I talk to our animal control all the time. And they're like, yeah, we had to serve a violation to this dog because the dog bit another dog. And I was like, well, did you know what started it? And they're like, we're not interested in it. It's whatever dog bit whatever dog, and that's the dog at fault. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucked. I mean, in my opinion, I don't think there's a way to tell who started it unless you were there. I tell a lot of my clients when there are potential threats, like off-leash dogs, not every time, not that they're threats, but like pull out your camera or your phone and record it. That way you have some proof. Be like, hey, this dog was fucking with my dog, and my dog, defended itself. But I don't have a lot of experience with animal control, luckily. And I don't really know how it works. I'd like to think that I do. But, it does seem unfair. And, it seems like it could be swayed a lot. And people, if your dog bites them because their dog was off leash and terrorizing your dog, and they freak out and they're like, oh my God, my dog's dying. And your dog probably didn't even bite them hard. It's just a catastrophe, and it is unfair, if it really is like that. I just can't speak on, you have a lot more experience with animal control. Yeah. But I think it is unfair, and I think that it is a problem, and it also limits people that do have trained dogs. And there's a lot of people too that are like, oh, it doesn't matter what dog it is, no matter what training it has, you never know what it's gonna do. I'm like, yeah, but you're fucking full of shit. Just because you had a bad experience with one off leash dog, which I feel sorry that you did, doesn't mean my dog isn't trained, and that doesn't mean my dog's gonna come to me. So I don't need you being the fucking sheriff in the town saying that.
Yeah, and that goes to, like, I've had people make that mention to me before, and I won't give them a sponsor because they're not sponsoring me yet. I use a certain brand that's a really bright yellow, okay, and I hold it up and I tell people, I'm like, I've got it's an e-collar, like, it's fine. Yeah. And when I get her in a heel, she doesn't care about anything. I wish she did the attention heel where she just looks at me, but she's not food motivated. She could care less.
Really?
Yeah. She's not toy motivated. She's kind of food motivated now because we cut back her food so much, and she's like, I'm fucking starving.
You can manipulate it for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So kind of, but regardless, she's not interested in anything else. She just, the good heel is like, doesn't pass your front leg, ears are back, kind of just in travel mode, right? And she's in that mode, and then like these other dogs come up and like bouncing, like pushing against her, and she'll look, and then like she'll look at me, and then she'll go back to the heel because she's looking, and I assume she's looking at me as like, can you fucking fix this? Like, I'm trying to be good here. Yeah, this thing's being a dick. But yeah, it's just it's I wish people didn't take one situation of an off leash dog and painted a broad brush, and I also wish that e-collars were viewed as a form of leash. Yeah. And I've had that issue with park rangers sometimes because there's certain parts of like hiking where I'm like, it's not safe for me to keep her on a leash for her or me, because we're basically scaling up this, like, it's kind of like a scramble, but it's, big boulders that are placed up. And I'm like, I can't have her on a leash, either not come with me and have me fall backwards or pull me forward when I'm not ready to go forward. Yeah. So in those situations, I'll take her off leash. Otherwise, I normally keep her hooked to my belt. Just to appease the masses. But going into, you've been doing this for a year and a half now?
Mm-hmm.
So what does the day look like for you in a day-to-day operations? Do you have people come to you? Do you go to people? What does that kind of look like?
So for me, I mean, it depends on the day. So if it's like a day where I have a lot of trainings to do, I do a lot of in-home training. So like, first off, like we have to take care of all of our dogs. So like we have a lot of dogs. We have to let all of them out, feed them, deal with all that stuff, deal with all the chickens. Now we have 2 livestock guardian dogs to protect our chickens because of coyotes, another form of off-leash dog. Always off-leash.
It's always open season for coyotes, by the way.
Yeah. We lost half of our flock in one day. That's why we got them recently. But anyways, I do all that, and then like if I have lessons, load up my car. I generally load up my Malinois Clay. Sometimes a different dog, but I like to work him a lot because I need to put a lot of work into him. And I just go to people's houses and I just, spend about an hour or so there. My sessions are an hour long, but if I have time, I always stay later. I really like working with people and like helping them. But yeah, just do like lessons back to back and then come back at night. Well, night-ish, later in the day, dinner time for all the dogs and stuff like that. Feed them, take them out, kind of repeat what we did in the morning. And if I have time, I work my other dogs too.
Do you have an associated link on Amazon or anything with a e-collar that you prefer?
I am a dealer for e-collar technologies. I don't have a link for it though. I generally do all that stuff like through my clients and stuff like that, but I also use that company for my e-collar system. So I'm not a sponsor for them at all. I am a dealer, but yeah, that's who I like to use. So yeah, I use them for everything. All my dogs, even my livestock guardian dogs, I have them on a big 35-acre invisible fence. So
really,
so yeah, I did it. I just finished it recently. It took a long time.
Yeah, and it got a lot of shrub oak, if I remember right.
Yeah, and the fence was not very well maintained. So like, I bought a chainsaw for it just to like bushwhack through the scrub oak so I could lay that perimeter wire.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, the scrub. Yeah, it's like our property's like, I don't know, at least 50% scrub oak, probably 40 to 50%.
Yeah.
Maybe probably more, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious if people, if I could attach your associated link, but they'll just get in contact with you. I'll put your information in the podcast. And get in contact with you. How far out do you go? We're in Castle Rock. Ideally, you don't go.
It depends.
Pueblo?
No. Pueblo's a little too far.
Okay.
Now.
So Colorado Springs.
Yeah, Colorado Springs, like the north end of Colorado Springs. It depends on the case too. Like a lot of our clients now are in Castle Rock, thankfully.
Oh, cool.
But I have, I service like the South Denver area. But if it's a certain like client that really needs help, like I'll make time to go to like North Denver or Colorado Springs. Pueblo, a little too far to do private training anyways. We have other programs and stuff like that for it. But yeah, Pueblo is a bit far. But yeah, anywhere relatively close-ish.
So I will avoid mentioning any competition. Are you an LLC, like you're a sole proprietor or like a sole operation? Are you guys expanding to more people involved? What does the future kind of look like for you? Oh, actually, before we get there, how far north do you go? Do you go up to Fort Collins?
Sometimes. Not for private training, but like if there's a specific case or something like that, maybe. That's generally too far. But like North Denver is like my range. Okay. Like let's say Arvada.
Okay. Yeah.
Anything past like that area, it just doesn't make financial sense.
Yep. And then so for the company itself, it's you guys.
Yeah, me and my fiance Zoe and our daughter Birdie. Well, legally she's not in the company, but she does help us with dogs. She laughs at them.
Yeah.
So.
So mostly Castle Rock area.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so many dogs here. There's so many dogs like
dude, it's
everywhere.
I have 3 clients in this neighborhood alone. I probably have more.
It's a busy man. What are you, before I want to get into, did you look over because of your business, how involved are you on social media?
I'm not super involved. I'm not like not like my personal social media or the business?
No, the business. Yeah.
We're pretty like my fiance is a little bit more involved. We're not like radio silent. We're just not like pumping out content like every day.
Yeah.
Which we probably should, but.
Well, it sounds like you're busy actually working, so that's good.
Yeah. And taking social media slowly. Like, I don't know if I want to be in the limelight yet, because dog training, when you get put under the spotlight, coming with social media presence, like.
What is all this thing?
Like, this might be the break. Because my personal profile, like a lot of trainers have their own personal profile. I haven't created my own public one yet. I've been waiting for it. I'll probably do it soon because I want to start helping people,
Yeah.
But I don't know where I was going with that. I just lost my train of thought.
Sorry, I distracted you with pointing out the cameras.
No, you're good. I mean, I'm all for social media. Like, we need to get it. Like, that's where the world is now, right? Like, social media is your thing. Like, you have.
Well, I was thinking more so like shorts about like dogs doing cool stuff. Like, I think the coolest thing that I learned from training Taylor was the place command, because I don't know what terms you use, but it's basically when you point and you say place and she'll jump up within reason. She's tried some, like, sometimes I point to like stumps that are way too high. They're taller than me and I'm like, place. And she looks at it, she's like, oh shit. And like you can see her working it out in her brain.
Yeah.
Like, how am I gonna get up there? And then I'll normally give her a manageable one. But like balancing on tiny little stumps is something she loves to do. And then she's got the pretty command where she'll like sit up.
Sit pretty?
Yeah, I tell her. Yeah, I call it pretty. Yeah, I taught her that one. I appreciate that one. But some of those are like pretty cool. And one of the things I like seeing, that when my Instagram wasn't unhinged, one of the things I like watching was like dogs doing cool shit.
Yeah.
And that, like, either going through like the obstacle courses during a dog show, climbing walls. Malinois literally running up a vertical wall 3 stories and biting a bite sleeve. It's just wild shit. But I wanted to segue, and we can gloss over it if you're not too well versed in it. But the recent like TikTok ban that's going through, I think, Congress right now, I think negatively impacts small businesses in getting their name out and kind of using it as a platform as like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've been researching that a little bit. I'm not on TikTok for a couple of reasons, but I'm not against it.
Is it because it's China owned? It's okay if it is.
No, the TikTok. I had a TikTok account for a little bit, but I noticed my doom scrolling. Like I was seeing a lot of stuff that was just not healthy for me, I guess. Not necessarily like the unhinged. There was, I guess you could call it unhinged. I saw just like a lot of fucked up content, and I saw some people's like ugly sides, and I was just on it. And it's just I can't say I don't like TikTok for that. I'm on Instagram like Reels all the time, so I can't say that I fucking hate it for that. But like, it was just too much, and I just decided to steer away. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna negatively impact a lot of people that make money from that are famous on it. Dog trainers, anybody that gets famous on it. You know, I think, I don't know exactly how to feel about it, but I definitely think it's kind of odd that the government is choosing what type of media you can intake and how you can express yourself, I guess. Yeah. And limiting the money you can make because it's a domestic threat, I guess. I guess, China, it's China owned, or the company's based out of China. And sure, there's some stuff that goes along with that, but like,
Well, dude, here's my thing is any government, our government is listening in on everything. Yeah. Everything. If you think that there is any privacy, and all these people are always like, I don't want the government to hear me. I don't want to say this. I don't want to see.
Too late.
If you're watching, I'm holding up my phone right now. If you carry one of these in your pocket, I don't care if it's a flip phone. They can hear you. There are programs, they can hear you, and they're backdoor programs. And if you haven't looked into the Edward Snowden WikiLeaks, look into it. As a proud American that I am, that really pisses me off. But I also accept it as like, I know it sounds bad, but I've got nothing to hide, right? So I'm like, I really don't care, and I like my phone. I'm not going to go full manifesto living in a cabin with no electronics.
Fucking like Ruby Ridge.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's very strange that they're trying to censor that, and I know we kind of kicked it off on. Most people that I meet are like very surprised at how. I gotta be careful what I say. How anti-government I am.
Yeah.
Like government infringement.
Yeah.
Even given the fact that I am a law enforcement officer. So I'm like stuck in these two conundrums, right? I've got a job to perform where infringement is part of the process. Yeah. Where it's like I do have to inquire about stuff. And then the other side of me is I don't want to inquire about stuff. I don't think the government should be inquiring about certain shit. Yeah. I think it makes me a better police officer because I stay in my lane. I make sure people know their rights. But it is always this weird conundrum where it's like the government infringement upon TikTok. We'll say that's just one example, but then the other one is recently Governor Polis is talking about, we're going to get rid of hunting entirely. And I'm like, why are you going to get rid of the source of food for my family and force me to go buy food from a grocery store? Yeah. Like you already prohibit me from selling my game. I can donate it to people and give it to people. But it's like, it's all these weird government rules that are just, I feel like I'm in this like weird, almost 1984 like prequel, right? Yeah. Like we're not quite at 1984 yet, but we're like, if 1984 was a real thing, just like the Hunger Games, there's going to be a prequel all about President Snow. Yeah. And how it all got started. And I'm like, I feel like we're railroaded on this course unless people stand up and speak out about it. And that's why I'm so adamantly against the banning of TikTok. Among other things, I don't like that it's a Chinese-owned company. I don't think China has the interest of America in mind. I think there's some weird things that happen on TikTok in Americans' TikTok versus China's TikTok. But I don't think that means to ban it. I think it means for more transparency, if anything. So I do want to get into, you have chickens and you relatively live off the land to a certain extent. Are you guys making your own sourdough yet?
No, I actually don't like sourdough bread. I mean, I don't hate it. It's just not my favorite. My fiance loves sourdough, so we're not anywhere near the spectrum of living off the land. I mean, we eat our own eggs, so we're at a start. Yeah. I don't think really anybody can go from like any American or really any modern country, if you will, go from our grocery supply chain to all your own, because unless you already do that, unless you were raised doing that, like
Amish,
you can grow a fucking garden. Yeah. Can I grow a garden? Yeah, I mean, but not great. And will my crops get eaten by deer like it did the first time I tried to eat grow a garden? So yeah, we eat all of our own eggs. Eggs so far, chickens they seem to be a very easy livestock to get into. Very low maintenance. You can eat very organic pretty easily. That's the extent of like living off the land. We'd like to get some cattle soon. Get some beef and stuff like that, but for right now it's just that, and hopefully some vegetables this year. That's kind of what I'm hoping for.
You should have kept the goats, man, and just done goat milk. Goat milk is actually pretty good.
Yeah, goat milk. I like. There's some goat cheese that I really like. My fiance likes a lot of goat cheese now. She used to be vegan, and then as we met, we started eating. Like I tried vegan for a little bit, but anyways, I didn't like it. I lost too much weight. Too much of something is, in my opinion, not good. Like two opposites of the spectrum, or like too far off the beaten path one way or the other is not good. But yeah, my daughter, like we get like raw goat milk shares. So like we get like fresh, like raw goat milk, and my daughter loves it. I was kind of hesitant at first about it, but I was like, I need to trust my, partner and just be like, I need to trust you on it. We got it from a good source. We got some raw cow milk because I love milk, and I'm not going to lie, I like barely drank any of it. I was nervous because I think we've been conditioned to be like, if you don't drink pasteurized milk, and I'm sure there's, I'm not an expert, but I'm sure there's ways where it can be bad if you don't drink pasteurized milk versus are there benefits to pasteurized milk or whatever. So I'm kind of like how I was raised and stuff, and probably most Americans, I'm like, should I be drinking raw milk? And then it's like, well, it comes from a fucking cow. Like, is it really going to be that bad? Like, I'm sure there's that one person that fucking died from like some random thing.
Listeria.
Yeah, some like, but
weird bacterial infection.
But yeah, goat milk. I think we might get goats again, but I'm gonna have to have like a full enclosure for the goats. Like the fences they can't fucking get out of.
I'm just in my mind thinking of like a fucking bird cage that's huge, and it's like that's your goat cage.
Dude, I probably would need that for those goats. I mean, once they figured out the cattle property was next to us, they were gone for a month. I didn't even realize it.
Were they just eating all the grass and stuff? Just over on the cattle property?
The grass.
You're talking the one to the east, right?
Well, yeah, the one to the east. And I didn't even know it, and the neighbors were so pissed. They were like they've been here for a month.
Well, to be fair, those cattle get out a lot.
Really?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time. Like, so just point that out to them. Just be like, hey, just so you know, your cattle get out too.
Some of our neighbors, all my close neighbors are fucking cool. Especially the one across from me. His name's Brian. Super cool. Yep. He helps me out so much. But yeah, people like, there's a lot of people that are super passive aggressive with us, or just kind of like short and mean because we've had animals get out. I'm like, I'm fucking 28. Like, I've never had live, like, and y'all's shit has gone out too. I don't want to fucking hear it. But
just because you're 40 and retired,
have fucking millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
One day I'll have millions of dollars, but right now I don't. I just had a daughter, and that's why my goats were fucking gone.
Yeah.
They got out like the day my daughter was being born. Like, I was like, all right, well, I'm not fucking worried about the goats right now.
Yeah.
That was separate.
You should have called me, man. I would have got my little drone out, flown around.
I had a drone team come out. I tried to find my goats.
You paid someone, a whole team?
Not a whole team, but it was like a guy. He came out with his drone.
Oh, bro, just hit me up.
Damn, I should have.
Moving when you get goats again.
Yeah, I just need to get my own drone, but I'll definitely have you out for it.
Yeah.
Goats are cool. Goats are really cool though. I do like goats. I can't deal with animals that can easily leave, which is, a pain in the ass right now. If I had a little more time, probably.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. So speaking of scheduling and stuff like that, what's the best way to get a hold of you? Facebook? Do you have your own? You do not have your own website.
I do have my own website.
You do have
for
your own
my
website.
dog training company?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a full website. We have a Google page. You can look up Misfits Dog Training on Google. South Castle Rock, we have like 45 reviews on there. You'll see us. Our website is misfitsdogtraining.com. It has all of our stuff on there. They can apply through there. They can reach out through Facebook to me personally or my phone number. I'll give you that too if you want it. But yeah, there's millions of ways to reach us. Anyways, the best way, as long as you just don't drive up to our house and knock. Actually, I probably would still talk to them.
Do you have your business address is your house?
Yeah, it is.
It's risky.
It is. But if I don't put my address on there, I don't show up on Google Maps either.
Oh.
So then nobody will see me. So, but people shouldn't be rolling. It wouldn't be a wise idea to roll up on my property unannounced in any negative intent, because there's a lot of factors that would motivate you from not coming onto my property. Not saying anything in specific, just like, if anybody has ill intent. Multiple dogs, dogs that you do not want to be on the receiving end of, among other things.
Yeah, I remember I was walking up to your property and I was very loud. Do you have a collie? Is that one of your dogs?
That's Oolong. No, she's not a collie. She's a cattle dog mix. A little white little dog.
Yeah.
Long hair. She's sweet, but she's kind of a bitch at first. It's probably.
I don't want to toot my own horn here, but she was very sweet to me as soon as I walked up.
Yeah,
but I had a treat.
She's
I feel bad for giving other people's dogs treats, but that shit works real well. And I see a dog and I'm like, "You want this treat?" And then normally the dog's like a little cautious and is like, and I throw it down, they eat it, and then they look at me and they're like, "Oh, this guy's cool."
Dude, I do that with new dogs that I meet, like dogs that are sketchy. I'm like, "Here you go." I just give them food. I'm just like, "Here."
Yep.
Like dogs I train. So yeah, Oolong, she's like the sweetest dog in the world.
Yeah.
But if she doesn't know you, she's gonna alarm. She'll stay. She stays on our property.
Yeah, she started walking towards me with like the cattle. Like, I'm gonna herd you. Not
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah.
You like somewhere. Like she started like that my back's not moving, but my legs are.
Yeah.
You know that movement?
That little
It was pretty
stalk.
cool. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I have videos
like,
of her. I have videos of her herding our goats too.
Oh, cool.
She's really good at it.
That's what I'm talking. Dude, that is exactly what I'm talking about. Post that shit on Instagram, TikTok, because I fucking ingest that stuff.
It's cool.
And I look at the views and the likes, and it's like 275,000 likes. I'm like, holy shit, man. Maybe I just need to like film myself with my dog and maybe I'll get more likes.
You should.
Yeah.
No, dogs are cool, man. Especially seeing them work. It's my favorite thing, watching a dog work and be fulfilled. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate it. If you want to give your phone number out, you're more than welcome to. I would hesitate doing it on this podcast.
I'll give you my direct link to my website, and then I'll contact them immediately from there.
Cool. So Misfit Dogs Training. You do tolerance.
We do puppy stuff like puppy building, basic obedience, advanced obedience, reactivity, a lot of reactivity work, a lot of behavior mod. We do take on some aggression cases just on a limited basis. It depends on how severe it is and if it's something we're comfortable taking on. As long as it's not kid aggressive, because I don't want to subject my daughter to any type of rabid dog. And if it's something that we can't take on, we're very honest. So I have multiple other people that I can, recommend. But yeah, misfitsdogtraining.com. Apply online, reach out. You'll either talk to me or Zoe. Cool. And yeah, I love helping people and their dogs.
Right on, man. And it's all dog ages, not just puppies, right?
All dog ages, yeah. Pretty much. I mean, we do train senior dogs, but there is a point of, how old is my dog and is it worth training with potential health issues?
Sure.
So senior dogs were we play it by ear, but, every dog, we just work the dog in front of us, so it just depends on what the people need. Right on.
And are you allowed to say your hourly rate, or is it dependent upon dog?
It depends. We have a variety of different ranges for our program, so it's not just like it all depends on the dog and what they want, so it varies. I mean, anywhere from like $600 to like $3,200, sometimes more, but those more expensive packages are for like specific cases, like where we take a dog for like X amount of time and work them. But yeah, we help people out too, so we.
Is the longer ones more the protection-based ones?
I don't do any protection training. So I have protection dogs that I work with other decoys. Those are the guys that wear those big suits.
The bite suit.
Bite suits. I don't do any of that. We have protection dogs, but I train them separately. Okay. But they're more skilled. So I would rather take somebody or pass their information along to the proper trainer. But yeah, no protection work. We dabble in some like light service work and some other like competition type of stuff like trick training or other types of like competitive obedience and some other offshoots. But the most of our clients are like pet dogs, so that's kind of what we normally do, just from a numbers standpoint, just the most common.
Right on. John Lightfoot, first podcast down.
Yeah,
many more to come, dude.
It was fun.
Cheers. If you got any, do you have anything left?
I don't think so.
We can't cheers an empty glass. Bad juju.
Oh, is it empty?
Is yours?
No.
Oh, that's what I was talking about. Cheers, man. Thanks for coming on.
It was fun, man.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.